They mocked the old lady because she came to dinner with twin babies, without knowing who their parents were. That was the headline people whispered across the ballroom of the Hilton Hotel in Chicago that Friday night. A night meant to celebrate success, loyalty, and the best staff of Stonebridge Holdings. Everyone's attention shifted the moment Mrs. Eleanor Brooks, the founder's elderly mother, walked in balancing two car seats, each holding a sleeping infant. People stared. Some snickered. A few rolled their eyes. "Who brings babies to a corporate dinner?" someone whispered near the wine table. "She's probably losing it, poor old lady," another man muttered. Eleanor pretended not to hear them, but she heard every single word. The twins were barely a year old, one boy, one girl, bundled in matching sky-blue blankets. Their soft breathing calmed her, because she knew something no one else knew. These weren't just babies. They were the future of the company, the rightful heirs, the children of her late daughter-in-law and son. But because of security reasons, because of a scandal that almost tore the company apart the year before, almost no one in the room even knew they existed. And tonight, Eleanor was here not just as a guest, but as the one person entrusted to choose the new director of operations, a promotion worth 6 figures, a luxury condo, and a seat at the table of power. The employees had been competing for months. Some worked hard. Some schemed harder. As the night went on, Eleanor sat at a reserved table with the twins beside her. But that didn't stop the comments. At one point, Grace, the head of the marketing team, walked past and said loudly, "Maybe she thinks this is a daycare. I mean, who does that?" Laughter followed her like cheap perfume. Eleanor adjusted her glasses, sighed quietly, and whispered to the babies, "Don't worry, my darlings. People reveal their hearts when they think no one is watching." And she was right. The real test hadn't even started yet. When dinner was served, the CEO's assistant, Melissa, took the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Mr. Brooks, our CEO, is still in Switzerland on an extended business trip. But tonight, the Best Staff Award and promotion will be presented by someone who knows this company better than anyone." All eyes shifted to Eleanor. She has reviewed the files. She has studied the performance records. And she will choose who takes the next big step. As Melissa continued, Grace leaned over to the guy beside her and whispered, "If that old lady chooses someone based on pity, I swear." But she didn't get to finish. The ballroom went silent as Melissa announced, "Please welcome Mrs. Eleanor Brooks and her grandchildren." A wave of murmurs rippled across the room. Grandchildren? Whose children? Since when does the Brooks family have twins? The whispers grew louder, and Eleanor finally stepped onto the stage. She didn't bother to take the mic right away. She simply looked across the room, at the same people who had mocked her, the same ones she had watched all evening. She smiled politely, but her eyes? Knowing, unshakable. Then she began. "Before I announce the promotion, there is something you all need to understand about these children." The room leaned forward, curious. And then she told them something that made forks drop, champagne spill, and a few jaws hit the napkins. But the truth? That was only the beginning. Eleanor let the silence hold the room hostage before she continued. "These children," she said, resting her hand gently on the car seats, "are the next of kin to Stonebridge Holdings. My son's children. The future owners of everything you see here." A wave of shock pulsed through the ballroom. Grace almost choked on her wine. Melissa froze mid-smile. Someone whispered loudly, "What?" Eleanor nodded. "Yes. And I brought them tonight for a reason. A reason tied to the decision I am about to make." Now the room was silent, so silent that the baby's soft coos echoed. She continued, "Many of you think success is about outworking the next person. But sometimes it's about character. It's about who you are when you think no one important is watching." Some people swallowed hard. Others shifted in their seats. Eleanor pointed to the far corner of the room. "Tonight, I listened. I observed. I watched how you treated someone you assumed was weak or irrelevant." People froze. They knew what she meant. "Some of you mocked me. Some judged me. Some whispered cruel things." Grace's face drained of color. "But one person," Eleanor said, raising her voice slightly, Came to my table, not to gossip, not to complain, but to help me without being asked. Heads turned. It was Daniel Carter, a quiet IT specialist from Detroit, barely noticeable most days. Earlier that evening, he had approached her with genuine kindness. He adjusted the baby's blankets. He brought her warm water. He offered to carry one of the car seats. And most importantly, he didn't treat her like a burden. He treated her like a human being. Eleanor pointed toward him. Daniel, would you come forward? Guess. Whispers. Disbelief. Grace looked like someone had unplugged her entire brain. Daniel stood up slowly, confused. Ma'am? I didn't do anything special. Eleanor smiled. And that's exactly why you deserve this. You showed integrity when no one was watching. You respected someone you thought had no power. That is leadership. Melissa handed her the plaque. Congratulations, Daniel Carter. You are the new director of operations. The ballroom erupted, some clapping out of respect, others out of embarrassment, and a few because they suddenly realized how horribly they had behaved. Grace stood frozen, humiliated, eyes fixed on the floor. Eleanor wasn't done. She leaned into the microphone and said, "Let this be a reminder. Kindness is a currency that never loses value. And when these twins grow up, I want them surrounded by people who treat others with dignity, not because of status, but because it's the right thing to do." Daniel's hands shook as he accepted the plaque. He glanced at the twins, then at Eleanor, then at the room full of shocked faces. This dinner wasn't what anyone expected, but it taught the entire company something priceless. Life has a way of revealing hearts at the exact moment people least expect. And somewhere in the back of the room, Grace whispered, "I can't believe I ruined my chances over a joke." But the truth? It wasn't a joke. It was a test. A test she and many others had failed. As the night ended, Eleanor picked up one twin, Daniel picked up the other, and together they walked out, leaving behind a room full of people suddenly aware of how deeply they had misjudged a woman who held more power than any of them realized. A life lesson echoed through that ballroom long after she left. Respect everyone, because you never know who's watching or who's holding your future in their hands. Please like and subscribe to get a new story tomorrow.